Good morning, everybody. Thank you very much for taking your time to come in this morning and step on your mat. This is a 90-minute flow class, so I want to get into a comfortable seated position to start here. As you get adjusted for the month of January, we are doing a Good Vibes membership drive. So if you are on the 2-week intro, you get to apply that 2-week intro to like your second month, and then you still get half off your first month if you sign up within January. Or if you're newer to anybody who's interested in yoga, they have a couple of beginner options that they can take advantage of as well. Now we'll just kind of let all of that information go. You want to make sure that your hips are supported, whether on your heels, just making sure there's no unnecessary tension in the knees or your ankles. So you can also cross your legs in front of you, or even if you have a block, even sitting up on that some. Once you are there, I'm going to place your hands onto your lap. That little extra pressure sometimes is nice, so you can sit upright a little taller, pulling the belly in, rolling the lower tips of the shoulder blades down the back. So you're creating space to the collarbone where the heart will lift up, the shoulders pull back over the hips. The jawline will level off to the mat, so your crown of the head will lift, and it'll pull back just enough to get your head right over top of the shoulders. There's that kind of physical arrival here. You're creating this space on purpose with this position that holds your attention. When you feel settled, when you feel calm, and there's that last bit of fidgeting left, I'm going to turn your attention to your breath. That's always your anchor to clear your mind. That's always your anchor to refocus your attention anytime throughout class. We'll slow that pace and slow that rhythm down again on purpose, beginning together with a collective exhale through the nose. And then as you inhale through the nose, you want to feel the breath vibrate along the back of the throat. As you sit a little taller, you want to fill the lungs at the top. Exhale through the nose with a very soft ha sound. You're still feeling that richness, that vibration of the breath as it leaves the body. Inhale slow. As you do so, sit a little taller. Create that space in the front of the body to fill all the way. Exhale through the nose, maintaining that lightness of your spine, hollowing out the belly, engaging your core to keep that straight spine. Inhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and pause. Exhale for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and empty. Inhale for 5. You can count quietly to yourself, allowing the breath to pull in very smoothly. Exhaling for 5, letting the breath go just as calmly. Inhale slow. Draw the shoulders back away from the ears. Lift the crown of the head. Exhale slowly. Always know that you're in charge of this pace, this rhythm completely. Inhale. Exhale. And we'll take your longest breath in here. And the smoothest breath out. Now, once you open your eyes, I'm going to come forward to a tabletop position. So as you readjust, you want to make sure the hands are right underneath the shoulders, the knees are right underneath the hips, and the shins are grounded, and the fingers are spread really wide. And try to stay with that same pace as we move with your breath. On your inhale, we'll send the heart forward and the gaze forward. The tailbone will tilt up. On your exhale, I want to round your spine. So you're just kind of moving in the opposite direction, letting the head drop, the tail down. Inhale slowly forward. You're just creating this wave-like motion. Kind of creates a little angle of the back. Exhale and lift. So you're hollowing out the belly, drawing the tail down, getting this spine to curve. Exhale and lowering the belly. So you're pulling the shoulder blades down the back, sending the heart and the gaze forward towards the mirror. Exhale, lift. Hollow out the belly. Pull the belly button towards your spine. See if you can press to maybe get a little bit higher. And then we'll inhale, come to a neutral spine. With this exhale, send the rib cage to the right and draw the head and hips and shoulders to the left. We'll inhale, slowly pass through center. As you exhale, send the left rib cage to the left and hips and shoulders go to the right. So you just kind of move laterally here. So you kind of get a sense of the sides of the rib cage, the lower back even. And if you move side to side a couple of times, you can put all of those angles together, almost rolling the spine in one direction a couple of times. Then feeling it out, kind of moving the spine in the other direction. So you're really just trying to gather this information. You're using this rolling action to warm your entire core. So it's your shoulders, your belly, your hips, everything kind of beginning to synchronize and move together. And once you finish up, just creating a little bit of balance. When you come back to that neutral spine, when you ground the left hand, with your inhale, sweep the right arm high. As you exhale, bring the right arm underneath your left, lower the head and shoulders to the mat. So as you extend that right arm out to the side, you want to keep the palm up. And then you want to slowly begin to anchor that hand and create a little traction with the pull of the shoulder. And you're trying to pull the shoulder blade away from the spine a little further. Hips stay high. You can extend that left arm forward just to take the twist out of the spine. You kind of keep the side bodies nice and long. We'll take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. And we'll bring that left hand back underneath your shoulders. You can press down. With this inhale, sweep the right arm high just to release. As you exhale, bring that right hand down, and as it grounds, with your inhale, the left arm will sweep high, open up. As you exhale, the left arm waves through. Keep the palm up, keep the back of the hand grounded, draw the shoulder away. It doesn't have to be super intense. The head and shoulders are lowered. You can always extend that right arm forward. So again, keeping the twist, keeping the hips and shoulders level to each other. You can even draw that hips back just a little bit to get a little bit more length. We'll take a deep breath in. And a slow breath out. And I'll bring that right hand back underneath your shoulders as you press down. With your inhale, the left arm will sweep high. Exhale, we'll come back to all fours. And here we'll start to move down the arms and spin the fingers towards the sides of the room. So you can start with this angle here, beginning to get into that extension of your wrists, rocking the shoulders right to left, side to side. You can deepen that extension as long as it feels good on the wrist by spinning the fingers towards the knees, either holding your hands in this stretching position, trying not to lock out the elbows all the way, so there's always kind of a subtle bend there. And then you can hold, you can walk, hands side to side, front to back, every angle really in between. And then also flipping the palms up, so you're not only getting your extension, but your flexion as well. So the back of the hand grounds. You can pulse the fingers a couple of times. You can move both hands together. You can start to work one side, take a breath or two there, balance it out, and move to the other side if you haven't done so already, just so you create as much balance as possible here in your body. Once you feel like you have created that, you want to shake the hands out. We'll come back to a neutral position on your fingertips. Once you hollow out the palms, it's really important to bring your pinky, your pointer finger, and your thumb just a little bit closer together so the distance between the fingertips is equal. On your inhale, we'll send the heart forward again, gaze forward. On your exhale, rounding your spine and lifting as high as you can. Inhale, neutral spine. You can bring the hands flat, and as you exhale, tuck your toes under. Lift your hips. Come into your first down dog. When you're in this down dog, make sure the hands are planted firmly. Fingers are spread very, very wide. You're supported with the upper body, so you can give your lower body that same attention here. Bending one knee, pressing the opposite heel down. As you pedal the legs, your hips will kind of sway side to side. It's a different angle in the low back to kind of feel out the sides of the body here. You can roll around the toes even, kind of loosen up the ankles. Down dog is kind of a full body experience if the upper body feels a bit different. Now that it's bearing some weight, just make sure the shoulders are set down the back. Once the feet come back to center, you're eyeballing it. It's about 3 to 5 inches. Really, your heels are almost directly in line with the points of the hips. And then you want to pull the shoulder blades down the back. So the belly might naturally work a bit closer towards your legs. You can always bend the knees a little bit just to get the hips to rise. So you're creating that straight spine. Pulling the ribs back and down, hollowing out the low belly, pulling in and up. Drop your chin away from your chest. Move your head yes and no just a couple of times. And once the gaze settles in between your toes, we'll use your inhale to lift your hips and your heels really high. So as you exhale, you can bend your knees, bringing the shins low, but pressing the belly towards the legs. We'll inhale, hips and heels high. With this exhale, press the heels back and down. So even if they don't touch the mat, it's still fine. You're just lengthening the calves without locking out the knees. We'll inhale, hips and heels high. Exhale, bend your knees, shins nice and low. Inhale, lift. With this exhale, press the heels to the right side. So as you kind of drop the heels over, there's a little shift of the upper body. Just want to make sure that left hand really pushes down against the floor, anchoring from the fingertips and the knuckle pads here. And you're creating a steeper angle through the hip on this left side body. So you can step the left foot back behind the right, even maybe deepening the angle of that knee, kind of lifting up a little back with your exhale. And with your inhale, we'll come back to center again, really high on your toes, exhaling and lowering the heels to the left side. Just kind of lengthen here to get slow and steady breath. You always want to come back to your foundation. That foundation of the upper body is that right hand pushing down against the floor, creating that steeper angle. And it's really a little adjustments of the hips that kind of open up that space in the low back and the rib cage. Your leg variation can equal out, or it can be even a little different here on this side. We'll exhale. On your inhale, we'll come back to center again, high on your toes. Exhale, draw the heels back one more time. Try to squeeze the fronts of the thighs so the knees remain with a little bend here. On your inhale, we'll come forward to your plank position, either right before it or even a little past it. We'll exhale, hips back and down dog, so it's kind of working the hips and shoulders together. We'll inhale slowly forward. Exhale and press back. We'll do it one more time. We'll inhale, come forward. Exhale and press back. Now bring the feet together. We'll send the gaze forward. So you're looking at your fingertips, top edge of your mat. Just begin to walk forward. Tiptoe it a little bit. Small steps, big steps. Let the upper body hold you for a moment, a breath or two. Shoulders come a little forward to the fingertips. There'll be a point where the legs take over and you're at your forward fold at the top of your mat. Just let the upper body spill forward. Soften the knees up. Even let the belly touch the thighs. You can grab your elbows and create a little sway side to side. Just kind of loosening up the low back a little bit more, even maybe letting your core release just a tiny bit. Now you can place the hands in front of your feet. This is an option for a deep knee bend. You can lift your heels and drop your hips down, so you're resting on the ball mounds of the feet and the upper body's resting on the fronts of your thighs. That is just one variation. If this causes any issues with the knees, you can either skip it or you can bring your feet out so they're about hip distance apart and see if you can maybe keep your feet flat with your knees splayed out. It's kind of more of a squatting position. Kind of hollow out the belly, letting the shoulders drop and the head lower down here. We'll take a deep breath in. And a slow breath out. And as you lower the heels, we'll lift the hips, coming into that forward fold. And here's a shoulder opener. So you can interlace the fingers at the low back. I myself like to use a hand towel, especially just beginning. You can close that grip a little bit, create that external rotation through the fronts of the shoulders, drawing the knuckles straight back. Soft part of the elbows forward and down a little bit. And if you can have the space, maybe lifting the hands off the low back, just an inch or two. And then we'll release the grip, bring the hands forward, flip the palms open. Use this inhale to sweep the arms and the upper body high. Once you're lifted and reaching towards the clouds, drop, press, and press down to that right foot. Extend the arm up. Reach high. You can also reach over to the left side. Just get a little length here from that right side. Now slowly come back to center, pressing down to the left foot this time, reaching high through the left arm. Again, you kind of open that space here from that left side body, tilting and reaching off to the right. And as you come back to center, release the hands to the low back. So the palms are on the tailbone, fingertips are pointed down, and you're trying to get the shoulder blades to hug the spine and lift the heart and send the gaze up. With this back bend, just keep the chin down, kind of level to the mat. You press into the hips, and then slowly begin to lean the shoulders back. It's just an easy back bend. You always have that support of the hands pressing the hips forward, that nice space releasing through the front of the body as the gaze travels back. We'll exhale. And with this inhale, we'll slowly come back to center, and you can bring the palms together. Once your hands are settled in prayer position at heart center, your gaze can rest to your fingertips. You can always close your eyes for just a moment if your balance allows. It's kind of that standing, resting position, if you will. Once you feel balanced through the entire body, there's that natural security that you create in yourself. There's that lightness, again, as the shoulders drop back, that separation of the teeth, the crown of the head lifts. The mind is clear, the mind is focused, and you can use that clarity and that focus to create a feeling tone of your practice. There's that intention that you set either on the way here or stepping into the studio or into this room. It might change, may remain the same. That intention is up to you. Our lives begin and shift between two varying extremes, whether it be our need for control, that desire for surrender, that muscular energy we build in our posture, and that balance to ease into it. Our yoga practice is that physical manifestation of those shifts that we learn to move through in our lives. We become very aware of them here so we can use it out there. And that shift between those extremes is unique to yourself and yourself alone. We learn to be ourselves here on our mat. I always tell this to my sons. I says, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you into something else will always be your greatest accomplishment. And so we practice. And we'll come together and seal these intentions with the sound of peace and Om. So if you're shy, you can always come quietly. You can listen. You can always give it a try. Always welcome it. We'll begin by taking a deep breath in. And from here, as you open your eyes, relax your arms down. We'll use this inhale to sweep the arms overhead. Exhale and slowly fold forward. We'll take a moment to bring the hands onto the shins. Just so you inhale, come up halfway, creating a nice straight spine, engaging your core. As you exhale, fold, maintaining that length of your spine. So bend the knees a lot if you need to. Bring the fingers in line with your toes. Inhale. As you exhale, step the right foot back into your lunge. When you get there, we'll drop the knee down and untuck the toes and ground the top of the foot to the floor so you can fire up that right glute and draw the hips forward. It's an easy stretch. You're just trying to feel it out to begin. The hands are heavy. The head is heavy, so you can drop the forehead down towards the knee. Maybe move your head side to side just a couple of times here. And take a slow breath in and an easy breath out. Now with this inhale, I'm going to tuck the toes under, come into that high lunge. So there's a little shift of weight towards the big toe mound of that back foot. Heel goes towards the wall, hip kind of rolls slightly forward. You always want to make sure that front knee is right over top of the ankle so it's supported. And then you can drop the hips down as you lift the spine up, maybe send the gaze just a little forward here. We'll inhale. As you exhale, the left foot will step back into downward facing dog. So really anytime you're in down dog, you can use this as a restful position. Just bend the knees a little bit. Focus on that length of your spine, trying to pull the belly in, rolling the shoulders down the back where the triceps wrap down with that, and the soft part of the elbows spin a little forward. Now with this inhale, we'll come forward to your plank position. At this point, the shoulders will be right over top of the wrists. Knees can touch the mat anytime you need them to do so, and that can even involve later through chaturanga. That can be done on your knees as well. And take a deep breath in. On your exhale, we'll lower down to the belly. When your belly touches the mat, untuck the toes. Press every toe into the mat, firm up the thighs. On your inhale, lift the heart up. Come into cobra. It can be a little lift. It can be a big lift, really whatever feedback your low back is giving you. You want to pull the belly button towards the spine. It'll shift the hips where the tailbone draws down. The crown of the head goes forward. Kind of pull the shoulder blades down the back, maybe to lift with your inhale. And with your exhale, slowly lower all the way down. Now take a breath in. On the bottom of your exhale, want to press up to all fours. Bring your hips to your heels. You want to come back into child's pose with the arms extended forward. Now, this can be done with the knees wide or the knees together. Again, this is definitely your restful position. So if there's ever a point you would like to take a break, this is where you would come back to. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Now with this inhale, come forward to all fours. On your exhale, tuck the toes under, lift the hips, come into that down dog. With your inhale, the right leg will sweep high, and you're lifting from the back and the inner thigh here, so keeping the legs super straight and strong first. As you exhale, bring your knee towards your nose. Hollow out the belly to do so. Inhale, lift, leg high. As you exhale, step forward. Bring the knee up really tight and try to get the foot in line with your thumb, coming into that high lunge here. Now come up onto your fingertips, inhale. As you exhale, lift your hips and straighten that front leg. So you're kind of squeezing the thigh. We say straighten, but there's always a bend in the knee, really. With your inhale, we'll come forward to your lunge. Exhale, lift the hips just a little bit. We'll inhale and come forward. Exhale, lift and hold. So once you start to work this stretch, if the leg is straight, there's no tension behind the kneecap. You can lift your toes and kind of engage the shin. Maybe letting the upper body come a little forward here. We'll exhale. Now with this inhale, we'll come forward to that lunge. Once again, exhale. On your inhale, the left foot will step up to meet the right. As you exhale, fold forward. Put a little bend in the knees, spin the palms open. With your inhale, sweep high, and it's always that option to reach as high as you can. On your exhale, fold forward, bend into the knees. Once the fingers touch the mat, inhale to a long spine. As you exhale, that left foot steps back. When you have your lunge, drop the knee down and untuck the toes. Ground the top of the foot, and you're trying to extend the toes back while the hip presses slightly forward. Just kind of feeling into this side. So you always kind of have that reminder of what the last side was like, but you want to let yourself be open to this differences. The head can drop. Again, you can move the ear shoulder to shoulder a couple of times. So take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Now, as you change, you'll tuck the back toes under. Come into that high lunge once again, anchoring the back foot. So you're almost creating a straight line really through your heel and through the crown of the head. You're kind of working the depths of the hips. Once you find that balanced effort in the legs, you'll always come back to the same supported lunge position, even if that back foot's doing something a little bit different. You can lengthen the spine. We'll inhale. On your exhale, step back into down dog. Right foot will meet the left. Inhale, we'll come forward to your plank. Again, that strong core, pulling the ribs back and in, low belly up and in. We'll inhale. As you exhale, lower down. Keep the elbows in really close as you lower. And then as you tuck the toes, press the tops of the feet down to the point where the heels actually press away from each other. Then you can pop up onto the fingertips, bring the hands back just an inch or two here. With your inhale, slowly begin to peel the chest up. And as the chest begins to lift, the shoulders roll down the back, sending the crown of the head and the heart forward, the tailbone down towards your heels. You're still trying to create this soft back bend while keeping space through the low back. And as the ribs pull in, you might be able to press down. Just kind of lift a little bit higher. We'll inhale. And with your exhale, slowly release. And then once the forehead touches, bring the hands flat under the shoulders and tuck the toes under. With this press up, feel free to keep the knees down again if you need to. Straighten the legs whenever you're ready. Use your inhale to prepare. On the bottom of your exhale, press up to that plank position. Press down through the palms. Press back through the heels. Pull those 4 points together. Get really strong. Balance that core strength. We'll inhale. On your exhale, lift your hips and come into your down dog. Adjust the hands, feet. Sometimes there's a little adjustment there to stay balanced. With this inhale, the left leg will sweep high. As you exhale, bring your knee towards your nose, hollow out the belly, get as close as you can. Inhale, sweep high. As you exhale, step through to your lunge. Again, bring the knee up super close. See if you can get the foot up. Maybe you need to guide it to where it needs to be. Once you're settled in your lunge, find your fingertips. We'll inhale. As you exhale, lift your hips. Again, front leg works in the direction of maybe eventually becoming straight. We'll inhale, come forward, hips lower. Exhale, lift the hips high, just a little stretch. Inhale, forward. Exhale, lift and hold here. So once you hold a position, there's a slight differences with every breath that you take. That left hip will roll back, right one rolls forward. If the leg is comfortably straight, you're grounding the heel to lift the toes, maybe letting the upper body come just a little further forward here. We'll exhale. And with this inhale, come forward to your lunge. Exhale the breath. With your inhale, the right foot will step up to meet the left. And as you exhale, fold. Soft bend in the knees. We'll spin the palms open. With this inhale, sweep the arms, the upper body as high as you can. And you can keep the arms where they are. Just set the shoulders down the back to lift the heart up. But you can always bring the hands to the low back again. Sometimes a nice supported back bend, no matter how open you are, feels nice. With this inhale, lift the heart up. As you exhale, begin to float the upper body back. Now, as you reach back, press down through your feet. Feel the heels press away, the inner thighs light up. The low belly pulls in, the tailbone will draw down, creating space maybe to lean back just a little further with that reach as you exhale. And with your inhale, come back to center, extend the arms high. As you exhale, sit back and down, find your chair. So as you bend the knees, hips will sit behind your heels, and the depth is really up to you. It can be an easy chair, hips high. You can always work depth eventually when we come back to this, hips a little lower. There's a little weight in your heels, just so you can always look down and see your toes, so you should always be able to see that. And then kind of work a straighter spine. Belly in, roll the shoulders back and down so the heart lifts up. We'll inhale. As you exhale, fold forward. Once the hands touch, we'll inhale to a long spine. As you exhale, the right foot steps back in your lunge. So ground the big toe mound, ready your legs, airplane the arms, palms down, reach it back. With your inhale, sweep the arms and the upper body high so you're still balanced even with this movement. As you exhale, sweep low, look down, reach back. Inhale, sweep high. Exhale and sweep low. Now we'll inhale and sweep up to your highest. Get really steady. Again, in that lunge, it's there for your support. And then see if you can lengthen out of your waistline. Draw the shoulders back. See if the heart can lift a bit higher. Maybe walk the gaze back just an inch here. We'll inhale. As you exhale, touch down. When you touch down, that left foot will step back to your plank this time. Hold on your inhale. Lower halfway chaturanga as you exhale. Inhale, press up. We'll do that one more time. Exhale, lower halfway. Pull the elbows in, hold, inhale. Lower all the way down on your exhale. Now we'll set up for upward facing dog. So you want to slide your hands back a little further. So the wrists are underneath the elbows, but the elbows are still in close. So as you untuck the toes, with this inhale, press off the mat. Now, as you lift up, if your low back says, hey, I need a third cobra, go for it. If you want to stay with up dog, make sure you start with a soft bend in the knee elbows and then roll the shoulders down the back. So you're kind of creating that, again, space to the front of the body. And then as the arms begin to straighten, the soft part of the elbow spin forward, triceps hug in, the palms are grounded, then the toes are grounded. So the thighs might lift, hips shift a little forward here. We'll inhale. On your exhale, tuck the toes under. Lift the hips, come into your downward facing dog. Take a breath here. Inhale through the nose, slow and calm. Exhale, steady and slow all the way back through. Now with this inhale, we'll sweep the right leg high. As the leg lifts, point your toes. Then begin to stack the hips and bend your knees. So you want the weight of the foot to draw back. And you're trying to focus really on lengthening that right hip again. So press down through the hand. See if you can fire up that right glute to see if the knee will go just a little higher. Inhale. As you exhale, bring your knee towards your right arm, maybe to the elbow or tricep to touch. Inhale, sweep high. As you exhale, step forward in your lunge. Once you get there, drop the left knee down and untuck the toes. With your inhale, sweep the arms and the upper body high. Now with this back bend, you can bring the right hand to the front of the knee, left hand comes to the lower back or even at your glute. Now with your inhale, we'll lift the heart up. As you exhale, begin to explore maybe a deeper back bend. You feel supported in this wide lunge. You can always extend the right arm up anytime you want to send it there. That left hand can even slide down the back of the leg, but it's still a little pressure to keep that space in the low back. You can reach a little higher, maybe a little back here right as you inhale. And as you exhale, we'll just release, bring the hands down to the mat, tuck the left toes under, come into your lunge. And with this inhale, the left foot will step up. As you exhale, we'll fold forward. Now bend the knees and drop the hips. Inhale, find your chair. So you always have that option to deepen if it feels good. You can always find the range of motion in the hips by sending them back a little further. If the feet are separate, maybe knees out just a tiny bit wider for some depth. We'll inhale. As you exhale, touch down. So once the hands touch, inhale that long spine. And as you exhale, the left foot steps back. So you have your lunge, ready the legs again, airplane the arms, reach it back. With your inhale, sweep high and lift. Breath is in your balance. Exhale and sweep low. It's that steady movement that kind of guides you. Inhale, sweep high. Exhale and sweep low. Now we'll inhale and reach up. So anchor the back foot, balance is in the front, light toes as you lower the hips, reach incredibly high, spread the fingers. Take the gaze up, the heart up, maybe a little back here with your inhale. As you exhale, touch down, and when you touch down, the right foot will step back to your plank, lower halfway chaturanga, inhale, upward facing dog, exhale, back, downward facing dog. So that's the full chaturanga flow. We'll do that a number of times. At least I'll cue it a number of times. You can always kind of have that conversation with yourself to skip it if you like. With your inhale, the left leg will sweep high, point your toes, and stack the hips. Begin to work the foot back and the knee a little higher. So the shoulders still stay level. This is that left hand that kind of pushes against the floor, creates that lift up, and then firing up that left glute, maybe to get the knee a little higher. We'll inhale. As you exhale, bring your left knee to your left arm as high as you can get it and maybe touching. Inhale, sweep high. As you exhale, step through. Find your lunge. Once you're in your lunge, drop the right knee down and untuck the toes. With your inhale, sweep high and lift. Now, the left hand will come to the front of the knee, right hand comes to the lower back. It's just a way to stay balanced with the hips and shoulders in the same plane, and then you can begin to lift. And as you work through this back bend, that right hand's always your anchor, pushing the hips a little forward to keep your space. And then that left arm is just an extension of what's already happening in your upper body. You can send it up towards the clouds. It's also a focal point to look to through your hands. Even just a little back here, we'll inhale. On your exhale, we'll touch down. And when you find your lunge, tuck the toes under, come into that high lunge. With your inhale, the right foot will step up to meet the left. And as you exhale, fold forward. Now put a little bend in your knees. Spin the palms open. With your inhale, sweep high. Just kind of lengthen up. Now you can stay standing and bring the hands to your lower back. So we'll take a deeper shoulder opener, but always know if you interlace the fingers, you can always use a hand towel for that grip as well. Now once the fingers are grounded, just try to straw the knuckles towards the floor and the shoulders pull back to lift the heart up. Now you can maintain this grip on your inhale. And as you exhale, fold forward, bend the knees a lot. Send the belly towards your legs, forehead towards your shins, maybe hands high towards the clouds. If you got it and there's no tension on the elbows, forward towards the mirror. We'll exhale. Awesome. Just release your grip, spin the palms open. With this inhale, sweep high. Come all the way up to standing. As you exhale, fold forward. And when you fold, for this walk or jump back, it's always an option. You want to plant your hands and walk the feet together and maybe even a little further down the mat. So you always want to stay balanced, supported in the upper body. As you lift your heels up, shoulders will come forward. It's that pulsing action to prepare you. On your exhale, you'll jump back. Walking back, if you hop at all, catch in chaturanga, move with your inhale, press back with your exhale. Eventually, we will all meet in downward facing dog. Once you get there, take a deep breath in, a steady and very slow breath out. With this inhale, the right leg sweeps high. As you exhale, bring your knee towards your nose, pull the belly in. Inhale, sweep high. As you exhale, right foot to your thumb. Now the left heel will spin down. On your inhale, sweep high. Come into your warrior one. Now this position, your heels are still about hips distance apart. So there's some distance if you can see your feet. The toes are forward, the heel is grounded, and that left hip is kind of rolling a little forward. You want to lengthen up. Again, spread your fingers with your inhale. Warrior two as you exhale. So spin open towards the side of the room. All you're trying to do is keep your shoulders square with your hips. That kind of open rotation just depends on that left hip. Now you want to anchor the back leg. Keep the side bodies very long, very light. Now, as you reach forward, flip the palm. On your inhale, reverse your warrior. Keep that front knee bent, send the right arm towards the clouds. That left hand will come down to your thigh, and it's that pressure again to keep space in that left side. So not only are you reaching up and out of your waistline, eventually you start to reach back just a little bit towards the wall. We'll inhale. As you exhale, windmill down to your lunge. So plant the hands, spin that left heel up. Then bring that right hand to your thigh and stack your shoulders. Now, once the shoulders are stacked, you can send that right arm up towards the clouds. You want to keep the hips level, so it's the strength of that back leg, strong, pressing right back towards the wall, and it's that core strength working your rotation. Whether the arm is up or the gaze is up, we'll inhale. As you exhale, touch down, and the right foot steps back through chaturanga, lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. Steady breath, in and out again, always through the nose, just kind of calm and steady. With this inhale, the left leg sweeps high. As you exhale, bring your knee towards your nose, hollow out the belly again. Inhale, sweep high. As you exhale, left foot to your thumb, spin that right heel down. On your inhale, sweep high again, find your warrior one. There's always that arrival here, that position that you're finding with your feet first, keeping the toes light, the ankles, the knees active, that kind of muscle structure around the joints. You're not sinking into it. You feel supported. And then when you're ready, you're lifting up. So spreading the fingers and reaching with your inhale. Warrior two as you exhale, so spin open. At this point, it's almost like the right side body is kind of disappearing behind the left side. You might want to drop the shoulders down, kind of level the chin to the floor right over those left fingertips, keeping the spine super straight. Now, as you reach forward, we'll flip the palm, and with your inhale, reverse your warrior. Just feel that nice space you're creating up from your waistline, out through the rib cage, sending that left arm towards the clouds, maybe drawing the hips down a little bit, always maintaining that bend in your front knee. You can reach a little back here with your inhale. As you exhale, windmill down. So come into your lunge again, plant the hands, and then spin that right heel high. So you're anchoring from the ball mounds of the foot, and then bringing your left hand to your thigh. As the shoulders begin to stack and the arm begins to lift, you're experiencing that kind of first twist through the upper body. There's a little shift and adjustment where that left hip kind of pulls a little back. That right one might lift up just a tiny bit to stay level, and then you're experiencing that reach up. Taking the gaze with it again, it's always that little lift at the end. We'll inhale. As you exhale, touch down, left foot steps back, chaturanga flow, so lower halfway. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. Steady breath in, out through the nose, always calm. Always your moment to kind of regain that composure again. Now bring the feet together and send the gaze forward. So at this point, you're kind of setting the weight in your hands, kind of bending the knees a lot to kind of pulse the weight forward with your inhale. As you exhale, you'll kind of jump up, maybe hop up. You might surprise yourself how far you actually get up the mat with that hop. Once you're there, we'll hang heavy in your folds. Now bend the knees and drop the hips as you inhale, sweep high, find your chair here, steady breath. Exhale and fold forward. So bring the hands flat. Again, set the shoulders here. Bring the feet down the mat, a little close together. Reach a little forward. Bring the weight into the upper body. Lift your heels, lift your hips, pulse with your inhale. As you exhale, jump or walk back. So it's always kind of that way to maybe explore, see what you have, getting you comfortable to support yourself for a second of your upper body, moving with your breath, and then finding down dog when you're ready. With this inhale, I want to sweep the right leg high. As you exhale, bring your right knee to your right arm, maybe touch. Inhale, lift. Exhale, step through to your lunge. Spin the left heel down. With your inhale, sweep high, come into your warrior one. Now, this is going to be a little similar, but we're going to catch a grip at the low back. So interlace the fingers at the low back. Once that back heel is grounded, send the knuckles towards the floor. See if you can lift the heart up with your inhale. As you exhale, hinge forward. This is humble warrior. So you just want the spine straight. Eventually, that back leg and spine are in one straight line. If you can get it, you're trying to get your right shoulder to even drop to the inside of that right knee. But you're using that core strength for your balance. You're trying to see where you're exploring with that depth, sending the arms a little high here right as you exhale. Then with your inhale, slowly rise up, sweep the arms overhead. As you exhale, warrior two, and spin open. Now, once the shoulders are open, straighten that front leg, squeeze the thigh, send the arm forward, reach as far as you can, and then tilt into triangle. So your right hand's gonna come either to your thigh, down towards your shin. Sometimes that hand placement is nice for feedback, so it presses against the leg and keeps that knee kind of soft and there's no tension. And then if you wanna reach further, you got it, that's your practice. Once you start to find this position, the shoulders stay stacked, that left shoulder, left hip begins to roll out and open, we'll exhale. Put a little bend in that front knee. So with your inhale, we'll sweep high, just reversing your triangle to open up. As you exhale, extended side angle. So drop that right arm onto your leg and send the left arm forward. So you're really bending far, maybe a little further into that front leg. Still trying to keep the integrity of the inner thighs. So we did take a shoulder opener. You have the option to bind here, taking that left hand, flipping the palm out, and then trying to slide the back of the hand across the low back. A half bind just means it rests in that crease of your hip. Full bind, if you can get the upper body and that right shoulder right into the inner thigh, you kind of flip the palm out and reach underneath your leg. I cannot catch a grip with my fingers. I got to use a hand towel. Either way, once you have that grip, or you just stay exactly where you are. We'll take one breath in here. Now, if you're bound, just re-extend the arm and then touch down. Find your lunge and drop the back knee down onto the mat. With your inhale, sweep high and lift. This time, palms come together and then twist over to the right side. You're trying to get your elbow to rest either on top of your thigh, or if you got it, deeper twist of the shoulders, trying to get the knee up the tricep closer to the armpit, pressing the hands together, or sending the arms out wide. You can keep the knee down, but if you'd like to explore a little balance challenge, you can tuck the toes under and come into that high lunge position that hopefully you have still a little confidence in. As you take the gaze up, we'll take one breath in. Now, as you exhale, bring the hands down and sweep that right leg up and back. Come into a three-legged down dog. Now, this option is for a Trianga flow, meaning that right leg stays lifted. So with this inhale, we'll come forward to that three-legged plank, lower halfway down on your exhale, inhale to a three-legged up dog, exhale back, three-legged down dog. It's just an option. You can bring that right foot down. We'll take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Now, with this inhale, the left leg sweeps high. As you exhale, left knee to left arm, maybe you touch it. Inhale, lift up. As you exhale, left foot to your thumb, spin that right heel down. On your inhale, sweep high, come into your warrior one. So feel planted in the feet. Bring the hands behind you, interlace the fingers. So catch your grip first, roll the shoulders back, lift the heart up on your inhale, hinge forward on your exhale. So really pressing into that back foot, almost hugging the feet towards that center line of your mat, building that core strength, and then seeing how far you can lower down. There'll always be one side that's more comfortable than the other. You can go with it. You can balance it here. You can maybe send the hands a little higher as you exhale. Now, with your inhale, slowly rise up, arms overhead. As you exhale, open into your warrior two. Just spin open to the side of the room. Now, we'll straighten that front leg, squeeze the thigh, send the hips back and reach as far forward as you can, tilting into your triangle. Again, you're trying to explore that reach down towards the floor. Now, if you can't quite get there, if you don't have a block, use your water bottle. You can always rest your hand on your leg just so you keep that integrity of that knee joint of the front leg, and then the integrity of the inner thighs. Once the shoulders are stacked, that right hip rolls out and open. We'll exhale. Then with your inhale, reverse your triangle. Sweep that left arm high. As you exhale, extended side angle. So come down on your forearm, then send the right arm overhead. So once you're low into the hips, there's always that option to kind of explore what you have here. So if you have that balance in the low body, you're still trying to find a little bit more muscular energy, especially if you're going for that bind. So you can stay up, you can find whatever variation works for you. If you want to go for that bind, half or full, bring that right hand to the low back. Even if the hand's on the back, you're still trying to actively roll that right shoulder open. Seeing how far you can maybe reach down with the left arm to get it underneath that thigh. Again, use a grip of a hand towel. It's just a little distance to shorten, but you still get that nice open space through the front of the body, even with that open grip. We'll take one breath here. And as you release, send that right arm forward and then touch down. When you touch down, drop the right knee onto the floor, untuck the toes. As you inhale, sweep high and lift the upper body. Bring the palms together, twist over to the left side. So you're just trying to really isolate the rotation of the upper body, securing the lower body with that low belly strength. So you kind of pull the belly button towards your spine. Work that rotation with leverage. So your palms press together. If your arms open wide and you got that space, that right arm kind of presses to the outer edge of the thigh where the left arm goes towards the sky. Knee can stay down, knee can tuck under, maybe find your lunge position again. It's always that steady pace of your breath that holds your balance. We'll take one more inhale. And as you exhale, touch down. When you touch down, sweep that left leg up and back, come to that three-legged down dog. Inhale forward to your plank. Exhale, triangle, lower halfway down. Keep the leg lifted if you like. Inhale to your up dog. Exhale, back, downward facing dog. Awesome. Deep breath in, steady breath out. Now, cool. Bring the feet together and send the gaze forward again. Set the shoulders, seal your core, pulse it out with your inhale, jump it up with your exhale. Bring your knees in super tight to the chest, and then see where the feet land. And if they get close, awesome. Walk it up to half of the way, even if they don't. Still awesome. Bend the knees, drop the hips as you inhale, sweep high, find your chair. Exhale and fold forward. Now with this fold, we're going to go into half moon. First with the right hand slightly off to the side of your foot. It's about an inch or two, kind of towards the edge of your mat. Bring your left hand to your hip and sweep that left leg back. Now lift the leg, flex at the ankle, stack the hips, stack the shoulders. So you work to very closed twist with the strength of your core. This time you're working that open twist to try to keep that integrity of your spine to almost reach out. So that left hand can go towards the clouds. Little challenge of your balance, the gaze can always shift, maybe just slightly over. We'll take one breath in. Awesome. As you exhale, close it out. The left hand and foot touch down, and we'll go right into the other side. So left hand slightly off to the side, right hand to your hip or low back. Sweep that right leg up, flex at the ankle, stack the hips first, stack the shoulders second. That right arm can go high for that reach. So even though you are solidly balancing into that left side, that right side's trying to reach and try to maintain that balance just as much as the left side. When you want to look up, you can. If you want to stay grounded, look down. We'll take one breath in. And as you exhale, release. Come all the way down. Bring the hands to the mat and both feet to the floor. Bend the knees, drop the hips. As you inhale, find your chair. Just take a breath here. As you exhale, fold forward. Now bring the hands down. Again, set your shoulders, bring the feet close, send the weight forward, take a deep breath in. On your exhale, jump it back, walk it back, flow it out, no flow. Again, that is always an option for you to skip completely. Take a deep breath in and a slow and steady breath out. Now with this inhale, sweep the right leg high. As you exhale, step the right foot to your right thumb. And as the foot lands, rock the weight forward and sweep that left leg high. So you're going to keep the hips level for standing splits. It's really kind of like a standing L for the most part. Your toes are pointed down, your legs kind of parallel to your mat. But if you got a little lift, it's that space right where the glute and the hamstring meet that start to elevate the back of the leg. And then you can pull the upper body forward, grabbing at the ankle for a little lift on your inhale. Now step back halfway on your mat. Bring the feet palms together. On your inhale, lift and rise up slowly. As you exhale, twist, send the left arm forward and the right arm out behind you. Now with this twist, try to get that right hip to push just a little forward. Press down through the ball mounds of the feet and the heels and hug the thighs together. Once the hips are set, see if you can breathe into that link. Try to stand up just a little bit taller. Use that reach of the arms to twist out just a little bit further right as you exhale. Now with your inhale, come back to center, extend the left arm high, bring the right hand to your hip, and as you fold forward, you're gonna bring the left hand down. Now this is a place where you probably might need a block, even your water bottle. I always say I have short arms, I can't reach the floor. So you can cross over to your leg. Once your feet and your hand is set, you can lift the right shoulder and stay with twisting triangle. So heels stay grounded always. You're just working that twist of the shoulder. If you want to go into revolved half moon, shift the shoulders slightly forward right over that left hand and see if you can lift the left leg. Now you're lifting the same way you did in that standing split position, the same way you did in that half moon position. But this time you're just accentuating the twist by pressing the heel out and then sending the gaze and the arm high. We'll take one breath in. Now, as you exhale, bring just the right hand down, keep that left leg lifted, and from here, you can pulse it out, jumping back into that Trianga flow, hopping back into that Chaturanga flow. We always give you options so you kind of feel kind of the same thing, but those little variations that work for you. Once you're in down dog, take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Now, with this inhale, the left leg will sweep high. As you exhale, step the left foot to your thumb. And once the foot lands, rock forward, sweep that right leg high. So again, standing splits here, upper body as far forward as it'll go. Sometimes it takes some deep flexion in the low back. And if it's not there, pull the belly in just so you're supported. And then if you got it, you can reach down for the ankle, pull, try to keep the hips level, maybe try to lift that heel up just a tiny bit here. I'll take a deep breath in. As you exhale, step back halfway to the middle of your mat, bring the palms together and rise up as slow as you need to. As you exhale, twist open and send the right arm forward, send the left arm out behind you. Now it can be side to side. Really that organization and depth of your twist just kind of determines on that steadiness of the low body, how your left hip can press forward, how the thighs roll inward towards each other. Using that inhale to bring the shoulders back and the heart lifting. And then that exhale breath is that just a very subtle rotation there to deepen. Right at the end, we'll exhale. Now with your inhale, we'll come back to center. Right arm is up, left hand's on your hip, and then fold forward. Maintain a straight spine. That will always let you know how high or how low you can kind of reach down towards the floor. Sometimes you have little differences, again, right to left, kind of go with it. Set up to where you feel comfortable. Left shoulder lifts up, the arm lifts up. I don't lift it up. Sometimes it feels weird on my shoulder. So kind of keep the hand down on your hip. Sometimes it's a nice way to keep the hips level. You can stay in triangle. You can always go into half moon since you kind of know where we're going at this point. Shoulders go a little forward. That right leg lifts up. Again, still steady, straight and strong always. Find your balance. Find your depth. Reach for it. Maybe the gaze a little higher here. We'll take one breath in. Awesome. As you exhale, bring that left hand down. Kind of keep the right leg lifted. Jump, walk back, flow, Chaturanga, Trianga. That is an option. Again, that option always is to skip it completely. And once you're in down dog, you guys have definitely earned a break. So bring your knees to the mat. Bring your hips to your heels. You can always come into child's pose. You can always come up and get a drink of water as well. I'll take a second to kind of wipe off a bit also. Now, once you've had a drink of water, I'm going to come forward into child's pose. And when you're in child's pose, I'm going to close your eyes for just a minute. Sometimes child's pose, I always say, kind of gets overlooked a bit, but it's a great way just to kind of regain your breath pace. We have a lot of positions that we hold, and it's just a natural tendency to hold your breath when you are holding a position. Hopefully, sometimes cues to inhale this and exhale that just kind of gives you that reminder to breathe once again as the kind of a place to unwind one more time. Take a deep breath in through the nose and a slow breath again back through. Now with this inhale, I want to come forward to all fours. Once you're in your tabletop position, we're going to sweep the right leg up and back, and then spin the left toe slightly off to the side of your mat. So you want a wider base through your shin. And as you stack the right hip and shoulder, you want to send the right arm towards the clouds. Now, this is, I would say, a little bit easier, kind of mimics that half moon position. Even your side plank, it's always a welcome variation to come back to. We will come back to this at some point, so this is your option. Now bend your knee and reach back for the foot. You're trying to flip the palm up so you have that open rotation. You'll always hear the same thing with any grip. It's the big toe edge. And once you kick, you're trying to press your feet straight back behind you, trying to get the hips and belly to come forward in front. So you're working that bow shape through the right side of your body. That left hand, that shoulder is solidly set in place. It is there for your support. So are those left toes. Press it down. press it back, try to find that extension, maybe the gaze going high. We'll take one breath here. Release your grip. Extend the right arm and leg out. Bring just the right hand down to the mat. Bring your left toes back to center. Tuck them under, lift the hips, come into that three-legged down dog, and then step your right foot up to meet your right thumb. So as you come into your lunge, drop the left knee down, untuck the toes, bring your hands to the inside of your feet. So we're gonna go into lizard, and we get to hold this position again. We're holding a position, but as you go into it, don't hold your breath. You can get a little bit deeper here. There are a number of variations to get into. So you can drop to the elbows with your hands to the inside of your feet. If you can kind of tuck the toes under, maybe come back to that high lunge, getting a deeper stretch through that left hip flexor. Now there's always the option to bend your knee and reach back for the foot. But if you grab the foot this time, make sure you're pulling instead of kicking. That's kind of the only other option you really got in that position. And wherever you are, close your eyes. I'm going to take a steady breath in through the nose, a steady, kind of slow breath out here, all the way back through. Now, if you have the foot, release the grip, stay in your low lunge for just a second. I'm actually going to come forward and show you what we're going to be doing. So, hi, ladies. So once you come back, you're going to kick back into that three-legged down dog. You're going to come forward to your plank, and this back heel is going to drop down onto the mat. So you're on your pinky toe edge. I'm going to go into a side plank. So side plank, you can keep your feet stacked. You can stagger if you need to also. And we'll just kind of hold this for a second. You always have the option to lift. You can grab your foot. I can't do that, but if you know how to do it, by all means, go for it. We're just going to hold it for a breath, and then I will cue you to lift your leg and then step back and lift your hips and reach that right arm forward, coming in to wild thing. So it's kind of the easy way. We're not going to do that like wild twisting thing that Chris does in level 2. You guys know what I'm talking about. I've done it here, but we're going to skip that part today. So anyway, bring your hands down, tuck your toes under, come into that high lunge. We're going to sweep the right leg up and back, come into that three-legged down dog, come forward to your plank. Let the left hand take the weight, drop that left heel onto the mat, stack your hips, stack your shoulders. You can come back to that modified side plank if you like. We're just going to hold here. Send that right arm up. Squeeze that left oblique. Kind of pull it in, keep the hips level. Once you're there, slowly lift that right foot, maybe 1 inch. So inhale, step it back behind you, lift the hips up, reach that right arm forward, come into your wild thing. So again, left shoulder pulling in. It's there for your support. You're reaching up, taking the gaze forward with that reach. Take one breath in, and then slowly roll over. You can always kind of drop down. We're going to come into child's pose for a second. Bring your hips down, bring your heels down. Oh, there's my hand towel. I lost it for a second. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Awesome. I'm going to come forward to that tabletop position again. We'll go through that whole thing on this side. So send the left leg back, lift it, pin those right toes kind of slightly off to the side. You want that kind of angle at your shin. Stack the hips, stack the shoulders, find that side plank. I'm holding you in this side plank on purpose so you kind of remember, kind of build that confidence here for your balance for just a second. And then bend your knee, reach back for the foot. You have the foot, catch the grip around the big toe edge. Once you have your grip, press back, find your bow shape. It can be a little bow shape, doesn't have to be super intense. The effort is in the leg, not the arm. So the shoulders relaxed, belly pressing forward, heart opening wide. Gaze can always stay down or go up here. Take a smooth cycle of breath and hold right at the end. Awesome. You release your grip, keep the left leg lifted, bring that left hand down, spin the right toes back to center, tuck them under, press back into that three-legged down dog. Step that left foot up to your thumb, come into your lizard position, bring the hands to the inside of your feet, drop the hips super low, drop the upper body super low. So if you got that range of motion, shoulders again may line up with that front knee. Make sure the knee doesn't like spill out too far away from the shoulder, so you're not really creating any twisting force on the ankle, but the big toe mound kind of stays grounded on the front foot, really in any lunge position. And then you can bend the knee, reach back for the foot if you got it. Kind of open that twist, maybe pull on the foot just a little further. You can always take a deep breath here. Find a little depth of that exhale, maybe just a little deeper. Now, if you have the foot, just bring the hand down, come into the lunge so the hands are on the opposite sides of your feet. So we're going to go through that side plank. So once you tuck the back toes under, sweep that left leg up and back, come into that three-legged down dog. Come forward to your plank, drop that right heel down, rest on the pinky toe edge of your feet, bring the left foot on top of the right, maybe stagger again if you need to. Stack the hips, stack the shoulders. Set that right shoulder in place. It is there for your support. Your core strength is there for your balance. Slowly lift that left foot with your inhale. Step it back behind you with your exhale, pressing the hips high, reaching that left arm forward towards the mirror. You feel that full stretch to that front line. Anchoring down, pressing, breathing, and holding. One full cycle of breath. And then slowly come down. We'll meet back in child's pose one more time. So knees to the mat, hips to your heels. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath in and a very steady and slow breath out. And with this inhale, come forward to all fours. As you exhale, tuck the toes under, lift the hips, come into downward facing dog. Now from down dog, we're going to jump up to the top of your mat once again. So bring the feet together, send the weight forward, send the gaze forward, hop up, jump up, walk it up, however you like to get there. You want to separate the feet about 3 to 5 inches apart. Bring the palms to your shins. Inhale, come up to a long spine. As you exhale, hang really heavy, drop into the hips, and we're going to go into gorilla pose. So it's hands to feet pose from the front. We're just kind of working into that hamstring extension before we get into standing bow. Now, you want to flip the palms up and walk your feet basically on the palms of your hands, trying to get your big toe to rest on that thumb mound. So you always want to start with a bend in your knees. It's a bit easier position. Easier is relative, than hands to feet pose from behind, but you can straighten the legs a bit further if you'd like. Now, once you're ready, press down through that ball mounds of your foot and begin to work the legs straight. Squeeze the fronts of the thighs. Make sure the knees aren't locked out. Now, the legs will lift. So the legs will probably straighten a little easier in this position, and that's when you can work the position of your hands by pulling on the feet, getting the upper body to come forward. That's where the space is created between the legs to maybe get your belly to press in between them, your forehead down, maybe towards the mat just a little further. We'll exhale. And then just release the grip. Bring your hands out from underneath your feet. Kind of wiggle the fingers a little bit if you'd like. Spin the palms open. With this inhale, sweep the arms and the upper body high. And the left arm stays lifted. The right hand comes back behind you. So we kind of work these different bow shapes. And this one's a little bit more challenging because just that left foot's on the floor. Bend your right knee. Grab the foot from the big toe edge, because sometimes you might need to grab the pinky toe and kind of walk your fingers around to catch that instep position. And once you have your grip, press straight back against the hands. That left shoulder or right shoulder softens up, the arms along for the ride. That left arm reaches forward. It's that counterbalance of your kick. Keep the upper body lifted. Then when you're ready, you can always let that lower body kind of ease the belly forward towards the mat. The heart always stays lifted a little bit higher than the belly. And then eventually the foot goes up. If you got that kick up, you have that balance to explore. Hold for 3, 2, and on 1, slowly step it out. So right foot comes down. Right arm goes high. Left arm spins out and open. Flip the palm out. Bend your left knee. Again, you grab the big toe edge right away. Ankle grip, shin, you got it. Go for it. Walk your hands around to keep that external rotation of your shoulder. And then slowly press it back. You're separating the calf and thigh. So that's where that hamstring activation comes from. You try to maybe tilt the hip up just a tiny bit to get the space to let the belly draw forward. And then it's that steady reach of that right arm forward towards the mirror, that steady focal point of the eye gaze, your breath calm and smooth, hopefully, maybe holding here for 3, 2, and then slowly stepping out on 1. So as you come into mountain pose, bring the arms down, use your inhale to sweep the arms high. As you exhale, fold forward. And when you're fold, you can bring the hands down, you can jump it back, you can walk it back, you can just simply go into down dog, however you'd like to get there. And once you're in down dog, bring your knees to the mat and your hips to your heels. Rest in child's pose. Come up, get some water. Now, the next part of class is when we really have fun. So if you have an inversion practice, you kind of know the deal. No headstands, no shoulder stands. I'm going to keep any pressure off your neck, off your head, really. So we have dolphin or a handstand. Now, the way that you've been jumping back and jumping forward from down dog and even just kind of holding down dog for a second is the way that we get into handstands anyway. So it's kind of like a little prep there in and of itself for that cycle of class. But you can always do a forearm stand, which is, again, I hesitate to use the word easier. You just get a wider base to balance on. Now, with dolphin, your elbows are right underneath your shoulders. The position of your hands is completely unique to yourself. I have to keep my hands together because I just do not have that rotation in my forearms. Now, if you can, is keep the palms flat without this happening, go for it. You always want to keep your elbows underneath your shoulders. Now, once you're there, all you have to do is tuck your toes under and lift your hips. Dolphin, even if you have no desire to get your butt over your head and go upside down, is a good stretch, kind of working through your lats, the kind of serratus muscles that hug your rib cage. If you're tight there, sometimes it's kind of just nice to simply hold that position. And then once you lift the leg up, you have that kind of balancing tripod position. You can hold the leg up, kind of pulse a couple of times, definitely switch it out if you're kind of lifting one leg primarily. There's always going to be one side that feels better than the other. And then once you begin the work to start to kick upside down, you would be very surprised how little effort it actually takes to get upside down and to find the wall. So that's always a little surprise there once you start to learn how to kick up off the mat. And when you go upside down, you always want to look at the closest point to you. So it's always going to be that space in between your hands or in between your forearms. It kind of tricks your brain to think that you're upside down, that you're right side up. And then once you're upside down, if you're having trouble trying to find like where your legs go in space, it's actually your lower yeah, it's actually, so do I. It's actually like it's your pelvic floor that really helps stabilize your core when you are upside down. So when you're upside down, if you think about either squeezing your knees and your ankles together, or you can think about kind of doing a Kegel, and that kind of helps and keeps you upright as well. And then it's just kind of building that confidence to kick upside down, because sometimes that's just scary in and of itself. If you're balancing it out, you can try and do one more. And when you're ready, I'm going to come back into child's pose. This child's pose, I feel like sometimes is greatly appreciated. You can just drop the belly down. If the forehead's on the mat and there's no pressure in the neck, you can always bring the arms, keep the arms out in front of you and kind of drop the elbows to the mat a little bit so you can get almost that full release through the spine. Again, if there's no pressure in the head, you can always bring the arms beside you and kind of flip the palms up just a little bit and let the spine round forward. There's kind of this almost deep relaxation where you no longer need to balance and support yourself almost standing upright. You're kind of relying on your body almost folding in on itself for that subtle compression in the ankles, the knees, the low back. Take a deep breath in and a very slow and steady breath out. Now with this inhale, I want to come forward to all fours As you exhale, tuck the toes under and lift the hips. Come into downward facing dog. So from this down dog, we're going to make your way to your seat. So there's a jump through where you bring your knees together. And again, you're trying to almost do that same hop up, but you bring your knees super tight to the chest and cross at the ankles. And try to see how far you can get your feet towards your hands. Sometimes your feet might touch and get stuck, and then maybe you just need some blocks to lift up a little bit higher. You're going to send the legs forward once you're on your seat and send the arms high overhead. Take a deep breath in, set the shoulders. As you exhale, lower halfway down and send the arms forward. Inhale, lift, arms high. Exhale, lean back halfway, arms forward. Inhale, lift. Exhale, lower halfway. Now, as you hold halfway, pull the belly button towards your spine. Inhale. Lower all the way as you exhale. Now, once you lower down, bring the hands beside you so the palms are flat. You can even bring your hands underneath your butt just a little bit. Now, when we lift the legs and point your toes, you want to lift your head and shoulders off the mat. So once we come back to this, I'm going to give you the option to kind of kick up a little bit to lift your butt off your hands. So we'll inhale here. As you exhale, lower the legs halfway, point your toes forward. Inhale, lift and kick up. Exhale, lower halfway down, toes forward. Inhale, lift, kick up. Exhale, lower halfway down, toes forward. Inhale, lift, kick up. Exhale, lower halfway down, holds. Now bring your knees towards your chest. Give yourself a moment, grab your shins, kind of rock a little right, little left. We're almost done with core, but not quite yet. I'm going to send the legs high and then bend your knees till your toes disappear. Bring your hands to the tops of your thighs like you're sitting in a chair. Now with the pressure on your hands, we'll start there. Lift your head and shoulders off the mat and see if you can press the lower back flat against the mat. Now keep the pressure in the left hand and thigh and slowly straighten the right leg forward and the right arm overhead. Come back to center, press the left hand and thigh together, extend the left side of your body. Come back to center, do the right side. Reach the leg forward, arm high. Back to center, left side. Arm and leg reach out. One more time, palms, right side reaches. Back to center, left side extends. Now come back to center. Both hands press against the thighs. Squeeze the inner thighs together. Press down through the hands. See if you can hollow out the belly, flatten the spine, hold, inhale, press with that exhale breath. It's very subtle. And then release. Grab your knees, grab your shins, roll a little right. Roll a little left, just kind of loosen up the low back here. Now we're going to make your way to your seat, but just to your seat for just a second. Now cross at the ankles, roll forward, roll back. Once you make your way to your seat and you sit upright, you want to grab at your ankles and tuck your toes under. So once your toes go underneath you, you're balancing basically on the tops of your feet. Reach forward, plant the hands, and as your palms touch, kick your legs back from behind you. That's just kind of a slower transition to that pickup practice that we go through sometimes. Now, once you're in your down dog, take a deep breath in. Again, a very steady and slow breath out. Now, with this inhale, we'll come forward to your plank. On your exhale, lower all the way down. You can bring the left cheek to the mat, the arms beside you, toes together, heels nice and wide. Full body rest here. Deep breath in. Slow and steady breath out. Center the head onto the mat. Flip the palms down next to you. So we're going to full locust. I'm going to give you the option for a shoulder opener here as well. Ground the hips, the belly button against the mat, and with your inhale, lift everything but that pressure point off the mat. As the chest lifts, use the muscles around the spine to elevate the chest. Keep the toes just barely hovering above the mat, so drop them down an inch. See if you can raise the back of the hands up, and if the hands clear the low back, interlace the fingers. Send the knuckles straight back towards the wall. See if you can lift the crown of the head. Pull the jawline back, send the heart forward, hold here, one breath. Lower all the way down, bring the right cheek to the mat, release the grip, place the arms beside you. Again, toes together, heels nice and wide. I'm going to take a steady inhale through the nose. Slow exhale, let it go. Now lift the upper body, slide the elbows onto the mat. The forearms will be parallel with each other and you're supported with the elbows right underneath your shoulders. With this variation of Sphinx, because we're gonna hold the upper body upright for a little bit, bring your feet out about hips distance apart and just keep the toes down for this variation. Once you ground the toes, squeeze the thighs and then begin to work the traction between the elbows and the hips. I always kind of offer the option to close your eyes. Sometimes that's a nice way to cut off a little distractions. You're just simply rolling the shoulders back and trying to press the chest forward and then rock the tailbone down towards your heels. And you can keep the upper body where it is. Hold here for a steady breath. You can always press the palms into the mat, coming into a deeper extension of your spine, keeping the toes grounded, maybe lifting up just a little bit higher. Awesome. If you straighten the arms, drop the elbows back down onto the mat. Take your left forearm, bring it parallel to the top edge. Bend your right knee and reach back for the foot. I have to roll like all the way over to my left side, bend my knee, grab it, and then kind of focus on rolling that right hip forward so it's touching the mat again and the top of the thighs touching. And from here, you're trying to work the press of the heel towards your hip, trying to get the palm down and the elbow up. Now, if you can keep any pressure from the knee, just keep the upper body lifted. Kind of keep that tension in the left shoulder so you're not sinking into it. Be mindful, any pressure in that back knee, just kind of hold for one breath. And then we'll slowly just release the right foot, bring the right forearm parallel to the top edge of your mat. We'll just switch sides. Bend the left knee, reach back for the foot, grab it. Once you have the foot, it's always that kind of adjustment into it, kind of rolling that left thigh forward so it's touching the mat. You want to squeeze that left glute even. I didn't say on the right side, but that's going to keep the hips centered. It's going to keep the muscle structure of not only the hip, but the knee protected so you can push the foot towards your hip to maybe keep that twisting force out, but you still get that nice extension of the hip flexor. Either way, hold, just take a deep breath. Awesome, and then we'll slowly release that grip. We'll rest, again, bring the left cheek to the mat, place the arms beside you. You can bring the feet a bit closer together and let the toes drop away. We'll take a deep breath in. Again, rest that exhale breath and just let it go. One more full cycle of breath. Now, as you lift the upper body again, we're going to come into that Sphinx variation. So bring the elbows onto the mat, forearms parallel to each other. I'm going to work you through full cobra, but if you have no idea what I'm talking about, all you have to do is just listen a little bit. And if you can kind of stop any place that you want to stop, you can stay here in Sphinx, that is your thing. If you're going into the full cobra, bring your feet out off to the mat just a little bit. You'll stay here, press into the mat to straighten the arms, and then bend your knees to see if you can lift the feet and cross one foot over top of the other. As the feet and ankles cross, you're using that press of the top foot to try and get the feet close towards the head, and if the upper body's lifted, you are dropping the head back to see if maybe your toes touch the top of your head. And if it's not there, again, no worries. It is just an option to explore. Hold one breath. Lower all the way down and just relax. Bring that right cheek to the mat. Bring your arms beside you. Feet come close together. Again, heels drop super wide. Take that steady breath in through the nose. Slowing that exhale breath. Again, always knowing that you're in control of it. Now we'll place your hands underneath your shoulders. Press up to all fours. Walk your knees towards the middle of your mat. We'll just do one set of camel. Now bring your knees right underneath your hips. This time your shins are parallel to each other and there's an equal distance between the knees and the feet. Stand tall on your knees. Bring the palms to the lower back. So as you bring the hands to the hips, the shoulders set down the back and the heart lifts, and this is exactly where you need to be. If you can keep that integrity of your thighs, pressing the hips forward, pulling them forward, drawing the tail down, you can slowly begin to walk your hands down the backs of the legs and see where you are with that grip. Sometimes you need to tuck your toes under just to bring the hands to your feet. That is an option for you to explore. Roll the shoulders back, pull the low belly up. If you're holding here, breathe, bring the chin down, see if you can swallow for 3, 2, and on 1, bring your hands up one at a time to your hips. Now hips come back to your heels, open your knees super wide, let the upper body come forward. We'll take peaceful warrior. Once the forehead's on the mats, close your eyes. Take a steady breath in. Smooth, kind of slow, cycling that breath out. Now with this inhale, come forward to your tabletop. We're not going to set up for a second camel. We're just going to work the cat roll. So you kind of open your spine. It was a lot of compression on the low back. So as you lift the middle of the back, feel that nice separation of the shoulder blades, pull the belly in, draw the tail down. So I like to hold this position just so you kind of feel out that length of the lower back, really. You can kind of move the hips a little bit. There's a little adjustments to get that deep flexion here right at the end. And then we'll inhale, come forward to just a neutral spine. As you exhale, tuck the toes under, lift your hips. Come into downward facing dog. Put a good bend in the knees. Take a deep breath in and a slow breath out. Now we'll go into pigeon. So with this inhale, I want to sweep the right leg high. Bend the right knee, bring the knee behind the wrist and the foot behind the ankle. So once we go into pigeon, the angle of the knee is really up to you, as long as you can keep the knee supported by flexing at the ankle and that left leg to extend back behind you. Now once the upper body lowers down, we'll close your eyes for a moment and take a steady breath, again in and out through the nose. And allow yourself to settle in. When speaking earlier, saying that I truly believe our yoga practice is the physical manifestation of these shifts and growth that we experience in our lives, because we feel, I think, a little bit more free to do that here, because we're like, it's just yoga. You're just moving your body. You're just breathing. But it's never just. There's a whole lot going on here. There's a whole lot that you have to think about. There's a whole lot that you have to do. There's a whole lot you should be proud of. Take a steady breath, again, in and out. Now, as you lift the upper body, bring your hands underneath your shoulders. We're going to roll onto that right hip and swing the left leg around in front of you. Now, the left leg is going to stay straight. Take your right foot, cross it up to the left side of your mat, and then bring that right hand behind you. Send the left arm high and twist over to the right. So with this seated twist, you can kind of hook the knee into the chest. You can cross the elbow to the other side of the knee. Either way, once you're in that twist, you want to make sure that right hip is grounded and the spine is straight. Kind of bringing that right hand a little closer to you if there's a lot of weight there. You just want to put any extra pressure in the elbow or wrist, but it's an active push down and sit up. And then that winding action from the low belly through the shoulders, the eye gaze, kind of finishing that twist there right at the end. So keep the legs where they are just for a moment. Slowly unwind to the other side. And then as you come back to center, bring that left ankle underneath, kind of squaring off to the front edge of your mat, and then drop the right knee against the left ankle so your shins are kind of parallel to each other right on top of the left. Now, a lot of times with this rotation of your hips, sometimes your knee doesn't go down and it stays up. If it stays up, you can press against your thigh and then try to work that seated position, just trying to maintain that upright position. Now, if the ankles are crossed, well, really the ankle's on the opposite sides of your knee, you can fold forward and let the upper body drape forward. It's really just kind of working that same rotation of your right hip, just kind of getting a different angle of that stretch in those muscles that kind of line the tailbone and the hip. Take a deep breath and a steady breath. Now, if you're leaning forward, sit up. We're going to roll onto that left hip and swing the right leg around behind you. Come forward on your hands. So your left shin is already almost set up into pigeon on the left side. Now, as you come forward, you can kind of roll that right hip towards the mat, extend the leg back towards the wall, and let the upper body come forward. And once you're in that resting position, again, give yourself that moment to settle in. Those little shifts that you need to slowly let go. There's that breath to find your space that works for you. There's that breath when that space gets invaded by the thoughts kind of crushing back in on you. You can always use your breath as your anchor to kind of clear that space one more time. Take a slow and steady inhale. And that soft and steady exhale. Now, even though we move together and we celebrate this practice together, staying in the same postures, moving through the same sequence, your practice is always yours and yours alone. We can all look identical, but we'll never feel the same. We're somewhere in that gray area between our extremes of that muscular balance and energy and what's enough to let go and ease into the posture. Now, once you slowly bring the hands underneath your shoulders, I'm going to lift the upper body. So you're going to roll into that left hip this time and swing the right leg around in front of you. So the right leg will straighten, keep it straight. Bend that left knee, cross it up, and cross it over to the right side of your mat. Left hand comes behind you. Send that right arm as high as you can get it. Cross and twist over to the left. Hook or hug the knee in tight to your chest. I like to hug, just to get a deeper stretch through the back of that hip, keeping the left one grounded, the same pressure as the right. And even that left hand, the same pressure as the hips. As you sit upright, you drop the shoulders down the back. Use that to steady the upper back, to work that rotation right at the center of your belly. You can always turn the head. You're freeing that space to where the neck can rotate, kind of finishing that last bit of your twist. You'll take a deep breath. And then we'll keep the legs where they are. Just unwind to the other side for a moment. And then we'll come back to center. We'll go back into that 90-90 position. So this time your right ankle will kind of come underneath your left knee and your left shin's on top of the right. So again, you might find one space that kind of drops and the other one kind of doesn't. You just want to keep a pressure on your thigh. So you're never really pressing right against your knee or even onto the shin. You're trying to almost, I wouldn't say force, but help that rotation of that left thigh. And if the knee presses down, you can stay upright. You can always come forward just a little bit to kind of work a little extra pressure, especially if you're super open in the hips. It might be just a little bit easier to come forward and take a deep breath. And a very steady breath. Now, as you sit up, just simply uncross the legs, send the legs forward. Begin with a good bend in the knees. You want to send the arms up with your peace fingers and then hinge forward at the hips. As you fold, find your toe lock first. Keep the spine super straight. Begin to pull on the feet just a little bit. And then as the ankles flex, you can press the heels towards the front mirror. As the legs begin to work straighter, the hips will walk back towards the middle of your mat. Always maintaining that light spine, sending the belly towards the legs, chest towards your knees, always bending the elbows and pulling with whatever range of motion you have. Take a slow breath in, an easy and very long breath out. And once you slowly release the grip, send the arms up. Easy all the way back, send the arms forward. So as you're laying down, I'm going to bend both knees. Bring your knees into your chest. Grab the pinky toe edges of your feet for happy baby. Elbows will stay on the inside of your knees. And then begin to pull down and then kick up. It kind of widens the knees, maybe to the sides of your chest. You can press the heels towards the ceiling and rock a little. We call it happy baby because they rock a little side to side, and you can smile just a little bit. You can always switch the grip to a toe lock around the big toe, just kind of negotiating space with your neighbor. If you're a little close, you can kind of go bring your legs straight above your head or maybe even a little out to the side, just a little bit. And then we'll slowly bring the bottoms of the feet together. Bring the pinky toe edges of the feet on your mat, let the knees drop super wide. Once the feet touch, bring the arms beside you, flip the palms up. Walk the shoulder blades in really close together so they hug the spine. Let the arms relax, the fingers will begin to curl. Close your eyes. Set your gaze to that still space right in between your eyebrows. Feel the forehead release. Work your way down behind the ears. The tension around the front of the jaw as you separate your teeth. The tongue will even drop from the roof of the mouth. The back of the neck is long, so you can bring the chin down just a little bit and center the weight to the back of the head. And that softening feeling works its way all the way down the spine, letting the low back lift up. And you can keep this position with the feet together. You can also keep this nice external rotation of the hips by just simply extending the heels to the corners of your mat, keeping the toes nice and wide, the hips nice and open, and you're in that final resting position. Everything we build up to is this. The most important practice you will ever learn in yoga is how just to let go. We're always balancing on this very thin line between chaos and order. That veil of what is exactly is in our control and what is not at all. There's that very thin line at the center of your mat that you hug to, that's that balance point that you find. And it's how far you walk away from that line and how far you hug into it. That's that gray area in between that makes you a unique and secure person. I mostly talk about my youngest son, Samuel, because he's still bright-eyed and innocent. And he's very happy, makes everybody his best friend. And I always see this kind of like beautiful attitude that he has, where everything is magical still. And I always want him to keep it for as long as he can. My oldest son is a cynical 15-year-old that is judgmental about everything you say or do. My middle son is 11, and he's just kind of a jerk most of the time. But he's still finding his way as well. And I try to tell him that no matter what you do, there will always be influences around you that pull you in either direction, from one extreme to the other. And it's up to you to find that comfortable place, whether how close you get or how far you need to be away. To be in a world, to be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you into something else, being yourself is your greatest accomplishment. We celebrate that self every time we step on our mats, and you take that feeling with you even as you leave. It's always an honor and a pleasure to share this space with that person, and if we meet again, awesome. If it's a new person, just as grateful to meet you. Until next time, namaste. If you would like a cold lavender towel, you can stay where you are, come around and pass them out. If you do not want one for any reason, you can